Okay, let's talk about Man's Search for Meaning, page 9 through 120. So, the Dr. Frankl, after experiencing the traumas at the concentration camp, after being liberated, he develops this new therapy called logotherapy. And then there are several aspects in which logotherapy is different from traditional psychotherapy. So, traditional psychotherapy was mostly developed by Freud, and then he helped the patients explore their past traumas and trying to understand how those past experiences are shaping a person's behavior and feelings. In contrast, logotherapy is more future oriented and it tries to give you meaning, a purpose, and direction. So it helps you move forward rather than dwell on the past. So I think for a patient to be cured, both therapies need to be combined and used. So the traditional therapy can be very effective for people who are traumatized by past events and who need to heal from deep emotional wounds, whereas logotherapy is more future oriented, so it can be effective for people, especially youth who feels lost or purposeless, who feels like as if the life is meaningless. So the two in combination would work the best. So Dr. Franco explains to us the primary motivational force, the driving force in our life is the search for meaning. And this can be captured by this quote by Nietzsche. Nietzsche said, the person who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. So even when we run into difficulties, adversity, and tribulations, if we know for sure why we need to live and if we have a purpose, then we can bear any kind of difficulties. So, why do each one of you live for? What's your purpose in life? That could be the job that you're wishing for. That could be the things that you wanna enjoy in your life. And I think to discover what motivates you, the most basic way to find it out is to think about what makes you happy, what gives you pleasure. So, in my personal case, from when I was very little, going to the library made me really happy and peaceful and calm. So, I enjoy going to the library at least once a week with my mom or just by myself. So reading books was a great pleasure of mine, and I'm still leading a job that involves reading books a lot, and this gives me intrinsic pleasure. So think about the times when you felt most pleasure from your childhood on. Then you can find what kind of activities innately you find pleasure in, then you can connect that with your future purposes and future jobs. So finding a meaning is very powerful force in your life. So right now you're going through difficulties. Of course, you have to manage a heavy workload from school and from many academies. But then remember that your education is for your future purpose. But if you believe that the education that you're getting right now is not anyhow connected with your future purpose, I advise you not to continue it. It's okay to quit. Um, Actually, back in middle school in second grade, I felt like my education was not connected to my future goal or future purpose at that time. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a composer. This is a real story of mine. So I wanted to play the guitar and I wanted to compose songs. So I convinced my parents that I would do that for a job. So I quit school, second grade of middle school, and I just studied on my own for that 2 years, second grade and third grade, and I involved myself in music. But then I realized my passion for academics was greater, so I started studying for the admission to foreign language high school, and I finally entered the high school. But then if you feel like your education at the moment is not anyhow connected with your future purposes, it's okay to discontinue it. But then if your passion is related to the education that you're getting, please continue it. But then don't just remain as a bystander, but fully participate in the process. And if you take full advantage of every moment and every second and every minute of these educational pursuits that you're having right now, then you will find yourself in 5 or 10 years that you have already realized your dream if you do it step by step. But then if you remain as a bystander and if you stand in the gray area, just half-heartedly doing the things and just like passively moving from one place to another by being forced by parents or the teachers, you won't be able to, you won't reach your goal. So I hope you can do that wholeheartedly and fully take advantage of your life and then live the every moment of your life to the fullest. Yeah. And then remember we read the book The Catcher in the Rye one time, and Holden lost purpose in school, and then he didn't understand why he needed to study. And then he talked to one of his teachers, and his teacher told Holden that, Holden, you're not the only one. All the writers, all the novelists, and all the intellectuals, all the great minds, they have felt lost, and then they have felt as if there was no meaning in life in their teenage, in their puberty, or in their 20s, in their youth. But they still continue to read, and they continue to study, and then they continued their academic pursuits. Do you know the reason why? It's because they grew up to be the great minds who were able to empathize with the lost youth. So one day in the future, 20 years from now on, you can be the adult and you can be the great mind who can empathize with the lost youth and um, who can advise a word of solace or word of comfort. So I think my personal opinion about education is about learning. Education is about teaching us how to empathize with other people. So if you are more and more educated, it doesn't mean that you are advancing socially or economically, but then if you're more and more educated, you're able to put yourself um, in other people's shoes. So while reading To Kill a Mockingbird, we were able to think from Scout's perspective, Atticus' perspective, and even Boo Radley's perspective and Tom Robinson's perspective. Then our horizons in our mind and our viewpoints and perspectives expand, right? So the whole purpose of education is to expand our horizons of perspectives and trying to learn to think from other people's perspectives. Yeah, so it's a process of growing empathy and compassion. That's why we need to be educated. You don't have to go to school to do that, but then I definitely want to assure you that you have to continue to read. Yeah, I digressed a lot. And then there's teaching by Viktor Frankl. So this is the categorical imperative. This is the utmost teaching that Frankl wants to give to the readers, which is live as if you were living for the second time and had acted as wrongly the first time as you're about to act now. So, so there are two-way forks in front of you. You are debating whether to take the first course or the second course. The second course is obviously the right choice. Second course seems very enticing and attractive, but then you know that it's a wrong choice, but then you're still debating. Then think of yourself as an old man and an old woman 50 years from now, and then you're thinking in hindsight, you're thinking in retrospect that you're living your life for the second time. And for the first life, you have made a horrible choice, wrong choice. But would you really do the same thing in your second life? You wouldn't do that, right? Yeah. So there, try to make every choice of your life and try without the possibility of creating any regrets. So even small choices can make great gaps in the end, and it has long-term consequences. So back in high school, I had a friend of mine and myself, and then we'd always study together. And then I had a hard time resisting my sleep. So when we were studying together at midnight, at a study place called 독서실, she would try her best to stay awake. But then I was the one who would just fall asleep and snore. And then later, she went to Harvard. And then I went to Middlebury College. Middlebury College is still a great college. And then my score was actually better than hers, but then my math grade was poor. I got a C, whereas she got an A. And then that just decided everything. So even like small actions and small choices that you make in every day of your life, it makes great differences. So try to live your life as if you are living for the second time. Yeah. So then it helps us deeply think about the consequences, the possible consequences of our actions. So this perspective can help us make better choices, avoid mistakes, and live our lives with fewer regrets. Yeah. So what is true love? Is true love about kissing somebody, like hugging somebody, and then like missing somebody? You feel like that person is inseparable in your life, can't really do anything without that person. Dr. Frankel explains that that is not the characteristic of a true love. So if you truly love somebody, you recognize potential in that person. So you want to help that person become the best version of themselves. And that's why your parents gives you healthy pressure. And then your parents give you the visions about the future and then try to remind you of the potential that's inside you. So if a person continues to chastise you and then scold you, not in a harsh way, but in a very gentle and healthy way, then that person is a person who truly loves you. Please remember that. So, loving somebody is realizing somebody's potential and trying to help that person who he is meant to be. So true love is not trying to change the other person, but rather helping the person to uncover and actualize the strength and talents that are hidden inside them. So love is not about romantic feelings, but it's about action and commitment to the other person's growth and happiness. Yeah, so I think my purpose in life stems from my deep love for my family members. And then when I see them, I see their potential and I see their strength and talents. And I want to help them actualize that. To do that, what do I need to do? I need to give them support, whether it be emotional support and financial support. That's why I need to work. That's why I'm working this hard, you know? So in your life, in your future life, it could be your parents or it could be your spouse. Try to meet somebody who you can love with all of your heart, who in whom you see the potential and the person who makes you want to help them grow. And then that person has to do the same for you. And then love can be a great driving force in your life. And this reminded me of a famous quote by this philosopher Kant. And then this is the most important categorical imperative in his philosophy. This is the most important core philosophy in his teaching, which is act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as means. Means means 수단 to an end, but always at the same time as an end. End does not mean good. End means the purpose. 목적. So treat yourself, not only other people, but yourself first, as a purpose in itself. And then don't just treat other people as somebody who can help you advance your purposes, but that person has his dreams or his purposes, and help other people realize their potential. And then that decides the depth of your soul, size of a human being. I think a size of a human being is not determined by external factors like money, wealth, social status, or whether you got a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD degree. It's not decided by those factors, but then the size of a person's soul is how many souls you have helped reach their full potential, including yourself. So first, you guys are teenagers, so you have to help yourself. Um, that is the most important thing that you need to do. You need to think about what kind of potential you have and what you can do to reach that potential, what kind of talents you're born with. If you help yourself, and then if you help reach your potential first, then you can do the same for other people. Okay, thank you for listening.